Hello, Facebook. Hello, happy Wednesday. Letting everybody into the Zoom. What is up, everyone? What is up? Happy Wednesday. Howdy, howdy, howdy. All right, we got some new faces. We've got some young recurring faces. Notice how I didn't say old faces. We have people in the waiting room. We have people on Facebook and people pinging me on Slack. All right, so we're going to give about 60 seconds to let a few more people join before we kick off so nobody misses it. Who here is excited for, raise your hand or click the little reaction thing or type in the chat. Are you excited for baseball opening day? Anybody excited for baseball? Okay, I got at least one or two of you that are on my side. Good, good. That's awesome. I've been waiting to go to the baseball game for a long time. So I'm going on Saturday and I'm very excited. I'm going to take my boys. We're going to get ice cream every other inning. That way they're happy too. It's just we're going to try to make up for a whole season lost. So anyways, all right, we've got a couple more people joining. Couple quick notes. Next week is the first Wednesday of the month. So Real Talk with Ro Hoffer is next Wednesday, same time, same bat channel. And we are actually getting into Administrative Professionals Day coming up in a few weeks as well, which we have an event, obviously, to myself, LeaderAssistantLive.com, if you haven't signed up for that. And of course, if you're one of our members, you don't have to pay for that event. So check that out. Oh, wow, we got a lot of people joining. So today we're going to talk about communication for a little bit. Again, if you're new to this call, we usually keep it short and sweet, about 30 minutes, quick topic, quick Q&A, just to see everyone's faces and connect with other EAs around the world. So today we have a special guest, Monique Helstrom. Monique is, she joined us actually 6 months or so ago for one of these sessions, but today's a special treat because she has a special course that she just launched, and she's going to tell us about that in a little bit, but and a unique code for leader assistants as well. So Monique was Simon Sinek's she was chief of Simon Sinek, executive assistant, chief of staff, all that stuff for several years. Simon Sinek is a best-selling author, TED Talk speaker, if you haven't heard of him. But Monique basically ran his life and his business for years. So she knows what it's like to be in your seat, and she knows what it's like to struggle with communication with your executive. And so she's going to share a little bit about communication. So as I let a few more people into the room, do me a quick favor and post in the chat, yes, if you have, say yes if you have heard of Monique. Say yes if you've heard of Monique. Awesome, awesome. So we got some super fans up in here, love it. So Monique is in Denver and she's amazing, and I just can't wait for you to hear from her. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm just delaying for 10 more seconds because people keep joining the waiting room, and I don't want anybody to miss out. So, all right, 4:04 Central Time. Monique, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Jeremy. That was a very scary question. I was scared of the answer. Nope, nobody knows who I am. So I'm glad some of you do, and hopefully you'll get some good juicy information from my little ditty today. So as Jeremy mentioned, communication. Communication is one of my soapboxes, if you will. It is one of my passions in life, learning how to better communicate with everyone in my life, my friends, my family, my coworkers. It has me changing the way that I communicate, or at least even focusing on how I communicate and how I receive others' communication, has changed my relationships, has changed my friendships, has changed my relationship with my mother and my sister. I mean, this is no joke stuff, because at the end of the day, what we have as human beings is our communication. This is what is separating us from the machines, is our ability to think creatively and think critically and communicate. And that will always be there. We will always have the ability to communicate. And not only is this the tool that we have to use, this is the tool we use for relationships and building and community and feeling like we belong somewhere. And it is the foundation of everything that we do as human beings, or at least I think it is. And so again, when I put my attention towards it and finally changed what I was doing, the ripple effect from that changed my entire life. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips here about that. And just to give you an idea of why this idea even bubbled to my head, as we know, as executive assistants, communication is one of the most important tools that we have as well. And not only is it something that we have to use strategically, meaning our communication, we have to use it in the right way, clear, concise, on point, prioritized, all those things. But we have to be the receiver of communication, verbally, non-verbally, over email, over Slack, over the thing. We have to look at someone and look at their mouth moving and know what they're really trying to say as opposed to what they actually said. We have to pay attention to our executives and look at them when they're telling us something and be like, he's in a really bad mood today. And we have to understand all of this and learn what to do. And this definitely was something that I went through. Simon and I, for the first year and a half that we were together in this partnership, it was almost as if we spoke two different languages. It was almost as if I was speaking Spanish and he was speaking English, and we just couldn't communicate. We couldn't figure each other out. He would say one thing and I would answer it, and he would be like, no, 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 that's not what I said. Like, but, and we just kept bumping heads. And there were stupid little fights that we would have solely about miscommunication. And this all escalated to one big fight that we had, which I've told this story 1,000 times in the airport. And we had this enormous blow up where we started to scream at each other at the top of our lungs, because I had just had it. I had had it with the frustration. I had had it with not communicating well, all those things. And we had an explosive experience in the Chicago airport. And from that point on, I said, I'm not doing this anymore. Because this had been something that had been happening my whole life. I oftentimes would say, why do I keep having the same argument with people? Or why do people not understand what I'm saying? Or blah, 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 blah. So it was from that moment on that I decided to change how I was communicating and look deep within to do that. So the most important thing that I did, the foundation of how I changed my relationship, was learning about me and my communication habits and my personality and my strengths and my weaknesses and what makes up the Lego blocks that are Monique. Because in knowing that, I know not only what makes me feel in alignment with who I am as a human being, but more so it helped me understand when I was out of alignment. And I'm going to go through those right now. So learning who you are. I am a big fan of personality tests. If you've ever heard me speak before, you've heard me say that before. I'm a huge fan. The reason being is that we as humans have a very hard time describing who we are to others, because it's us. We are the only people that have the opportunity to look at ourselves in the mirror. So we have a different vantage point than every single solitary other human in the entire world. So when we try to explain ourselves, we're like, well, it's kind of like it's not that I'm impatient. It's just that I like to move fast. And, we know what that means in our head, but to explain that to somebody else so that they understand was nearly impossible. So, in taking personality tests, one of the biggest things it did for me was it gave me the language to use to describe myself to other people. So instead of saying, I like to work fast and sometimes I'm impatient and I really like doing things. Instead, I found out that my top strengths and strengths finders was achiever and what that meant. And I read the definition, and that's how I use it. I say, I am a high achiever, which means I like to be busy and productive. I like to have structure, and I like to have outcomes at every single meeting, and I like to be the boss. This is who I am. And my personality test told me this, so I am very comfortable explaining myself to other people and using that word. I'm an achiever. I'm an activator. One of my top strengths is harmony, and this helps me because. So when this situation happens, I'm probably going to say this thing because I am this person. So it gave me tools to explain myself to other people, family, friends, workers, whatever it might be. And so it helped me know when I would be in balance with what was happening in the world. So I'm going to keep using the achiever strength just because I've already used it. So I know that if I'm doing a project or in a conversation or in a meeting and we're moving and there's going to be outcomes and there's going to be a 10-point plan. And after we leave, it's going to be like, you're going to do and I'm going to do and she's going to do. And we leave. I know that all my feels are going to be tickled, that it's going to be a great conversation. I'm more energetic when I come into it. I'm ready to roll. I plan ahead, those sorts of things. And I can also trick myself into tickling the strength of mine. So oftentimes, if I'm about to go into a slightly boring task where we're not going to have a 10-point plan coming out of the outskirts, I can make it. I can game the system and tell myself, well, I'm a high achiever. So we'll do this thing. And then afterwards, I'm going to write down 10 new things that I learned out of the conversation. So I'm challenging my own self, knowing my own strengths so that I can make every situation I walk into in alignment, or at least as close as I can be with who I am and what I need and what my strength set is. Even more so, it helped me understand when I was out of balance. So I would sit in meetings with Simon, with whomever. We would have these 2-hour meetings where we would knock around ideas. Like, just hold a gun to my head in that, like, you want me to sit here for 2 hours just to strategize about stuff and you don't want to walk out with a 10-point plan after we're done. You just want me to sit here and listen to you. That would drive me crazy. And I would be uncomfortable and I would shift in my seat and I would be tired and where's the coffee and all the things. Or we blame other people and we point our fingers and go, they always have these boring meetings, and pointing our fingers out. Instead, this gives us the ability to have the accountability to know that we're just out of alignment, that I'm going to squirm in this meeting because I'm a high achiever and there's nothing to be achieved in this meeting. So it's me. I'm just out of alignment. So I can sit here for 2 hours and think about what I'm going to do after. And that's fine. My stress level changed dramatically after I started to do this. Because when we don't understand why we have these feelings of stress and why is this situation causing me so much heartache? Why am I focused on this thing? If we know what our strengths and weaknesses and our personality is, likely somewhere in there is going to be the answer of why that situation stresses you out. Why that when you go to your in-laws house, why every single time you go to the in-laws house, it's frustrating and you don't know why, and they're lovely people, but it just drives you crazy. But if you finally understand that the personality of you and the personality of your mother-in-law have differences and what those differences are, then you're like, well, no wonder she said that thing. No wonder she commented on that thing. That's who she is as a person. That's easy. So it gives us the ability to take accountability for ourselves and our actions. And it gives us the ability to understand what's happening in the outside world and not point our fingers. And that really helped not only with me, but with Simon. And then the second part of this, once I learned who I was, and I did my strengths finders and my Colby and my astrology thing and my Enneagram and all the doodads, there's 1,000 of them. Just start. Doesn't matter where you go. I'm a big fan of strength finders. I'm a big fan of Enneagram. Colby, I just did Colby a little bit ago, and that actually scared the pants off me because it was a little too accurate for me. So I haven't read it again since I took the test, but it had some really meaty information in there. I'm just not ready to process it. And that's, again, a strength. Like, that's amazing to know that I'm just not ready to process the information that I got from Colby yet. But I can with strengths finders and Enneagram and some of those other ones. So once I learned about myself, I started to say these things out loud. Hey, one of the reasons that I'm constantly making lists, Simon, is because I'm a super high achiever. And he was like, oh, okay. Well, why don't I like lists? And I was like, I don't know, take some personality tests. So I had him do the same thing. I had him take strengths finders and Enneagram, and I looked up his astrology sign and what the name Simon meant. And it doesn't matter where you go, just look up some stuff. And it helped me put language to him as well. And it helped me learn how to speak to him. So his number one strength was strategic. His number two strength was futuristic, meaning everything he thinks about is in the future. Strategy is all about looking in the future. Futuristic is all about looking in the future. He rarely, if ever, looks behind him. And that was evident in his strength set. So whenever I went to him and said, hey, so I'm going to do this thing and it's going to take this steps in order for me to get there. And I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that. And remember the time that I did this the last time? And I would watch his eyes glaze over and then he would stop paying attention. Now I know why. So I would change what I would say to be future focused. We're going to do this thing in the future and I want to accomplish this thing in the future. So I need these things right now. And it was like magic. It was the easiest change that I've ever made, was just to speak to his strength set. And knowing what was at the bottom of his strength set, his bottom strengths, they're not weaknesses, they're bottom strengths. Knowing what his bottom strengths were also helped me because I tried to avoid those. I tried to avoid talking about heavy duty detail or competition was at the bottom of his. I never really said anything that had some sort of a competition or somebody was going to win something or be better than something. I just stopped saying those sorts of things. And our communication changed dramatically. It changed everything about our relationship. It brought us closer together. It helped us work through hard times and difficult conversations. It avoided lots of conflict that we didn't have the ability to do before. And when we had conflict, it was easier to talk about it because we would say, oh, we had this thing happen and it's probably because I'm an activator and you're strategic, and we sort of just butted heads on that thing. So let's talk about it. Let's figure out how we can do this better next time. And then we let it go and it went away. It was, no joke, the simplest thing I've ever done. And it was the foundation that I've built everything else from. I base a lot of what I do about who I am as a human, who I am as a person, and how I can use that to my advantage to help me be in alignment with every situation that I run into. And I base everything off of that. So those are my easy, quick, you can do them tomorrow tips. You can take a couple of personality tests, write some down, really pay attention to the words. You can start with some friends and just say, hey, you know how I'm kind of like this? Well, I took this personality test and it told me this. Does that resonate? Does that seem like it's me? And they'll be, wow, yeah. And you can just sort of start there and get comfortable using that language and using what it means. Because I'm an achiever, that means I like these things. Because I'm an achiever, that means I don't like these things. And then I know, and I was easier able to talk about it. So yeah, these are some easy, simple tips that you can do right away. This also helped with my personal relationships, just throwing it out there. This helped me with every relationship I've had since that point, with, you know, a spouse, a partner, or whatever it might be, because it did the same thing. Because our communication is all we have, no matter who we're talking to. And I was able to better describe myself on the first date. I mean, because I'm single, this is what I was using, but I literally put my strengths finders in my dating profile. Because I was like, if you can't deal with someone who's got #1 achiever, you're not going to like me, and I'm going to waste my time going to coffee with you. So here's who I am. This is my peeps, because somebody out there is going to be like, that is my chick who's an achiever. Haven't met that person yet, but there's someone out there who really appreciates that. And again, and I was able to talk about this on date 1. This is kind of who I am. And this is that, how do we feel about that? Who you are, so on and so forth. I know that sounds funny, but I definitely used it in my dating profile. So there you go. Those are my quick tips for you.
Awesome, Monique. That was very helpful. Thank you so much. We're going to take just a couple of questions, but first, you just launched an intro to communication course on Monday, and we wanted to, I'll post a link here in the chat, but we wanted to hear kind of a quick overview of what is included in the course and why it's relevant to us as assistants. Mm-hmm. And then just so you all know, I posted it in the chat, the promo code, discount code, LeaderAssistant, you can use when you're checking out to get $10 off Monique's course. And that's either tier. She has a few different tiers with different bonuses. So LeaderAssistant, use that code to get $10 off her course. She spent a lot of time and energy on this project and had a professional video company do it with her. So it's very high quality. But yeah, why don't you give a quick overview of why assistants should care about your course?
Because it's chock full of tips just like this that are actionable, usable. You could start them tomorrow. It's not, you need to work on this thing for 3 years and then you get to this point and then you can, no. It's stuff that you can use in your life today, tomorrow, the next day, and you can start to perfect them. So it's 20 tips. It's the tips that I've been asked most when I'm on stage and speaking. I've broken down into sort of a who, what, when, where, why type of thing, where there's tips within each section. The whole course is a little bit over an hour. It's broken up into various videos, and you can consume it however you want, video by video or all at once. It's only a little bit over an hour. And then I have a workbook that goes with it, a 75-page workbook where there's exercises and you can go through and practice how you do some of these things, practice how you say them. And then, you know, there's different tiers in there as well. The course, and you can have a call with me, or the course plus I'm doing an Ask Me Anything, things like that. But the reason for EAs to buy this course is because A, of the actionable tips, and B, this is all about human relationship. We as EAs, there is no more human of a relationship than the relationship between an executive and the assistant. As much as we don't want it to be, sometimes it is very, very human and very much based off of how we communicate. And again, it changed my life. It changed my career trajectory. And I figured if it could do it for me, it could do it for other people as well.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's just to clarify, it's on demand. It's ready to rock now. You don't have to wait for it to release. It's all the videos are on there, and you can go through it tonight or next week, whenever you want. And the discount code is LeaderAssistant. And I believe that discount code is good tomorrow or later this week or whatever. So yeah, if you guys need to look at it, that's totally great. And I posted the link in the chat. I also posted it, or I will post it in the Slack when we get off of this call. But we got 6 minutes. We should have time for 2 solid questions. So raise your hand in the Zoom feature, and I will, call you out. So use the little hand raise thing if you have a question. Ro, yes, Ro. Hello.
Hi, Monique.
Hi.
Hello. Hi there. Question for you. So at Mozilla, where I work, we did insights and we're about to do a second round. So I noticed when I did insights, because I was doing it for work, the person that was answering insights was the person at work. And then when I went back home to my husband and I said, this is the color I lead with, because that's what insights is about, the color you lead with. And I said, I lead with a bit of yellow, which is sunny, sunshine, and bright. And then the rest is red. And he said, that yellow at home is not existing. He said, at home, I'm all red. So when you answer these personality questions, what is your advice to us? Should we think broad, general, the person I am, completely whole, versus, oh, this is raw at work? Because as I always say, personally, I have a very different way I attend to things at the office, of course. So if you have any input on that, that'd be great.
Sure. So I will first start and tell you that I actually find the opposite is in my personal life, that we should be or aim to be the same person at home than we are at work. We are one vessel, we are one human, we have one brain, and we should be in alignment with that at all times. Not to say that that is a rule, that is not a hard, fast rule. A lot of people do things differently, which is fine. I tend to see, though, when you're a completely different person at work than you are at home, then there's something out of alignment, because you feel like you have to stop you. You have to stop yourself and put this new person in place. So sometimes that can mean there's something out of alignment. Maybe the values aren't matching up, maybe the topics aren't matching up, whatever it might be. So first I'll say that, and whether you agree or not, there you go. And to that end, when you're taking these tests, yes, I do think you should take them as a whole human. Think of yourself as the whole human, because this personality test will help you at home, with your family, with your friends, with perfect strangers. And those situations happen all the time, constantly moving around. So if you're only taking these tests who you are at work, it might not apply in other situations. So I would definitely say back up. Generally speaking, this is what I do. Generally speaking, this is what I do. And it would maybe be a good exercise to figure out what are the pieces of you that are different at work and at home, and why. Just, you don't have to do much with it, but grab a cup of coffee, sit outside, and just say, what really is different? What do I feel? And why do I think that happens? You don't actually have to do anything with it. We have this beautiful subconscious brain that works on problems when we're not even thinking about them. So if you can just bring something to your consciousness, it might just roll around in there, and you might have an aha moment like, oh, because I feel like I can't be myself because. And then maybe that'll start to slip away. Because once you bring it to your conscious, it might actually bridge the gap. Does that help?
Awesome. Any other question? We got time for one more. One more. Sally, yes.
Monique, I'm dying to know how your executive reacted when you made this phenomenal change. I mean, that's my question.
Well, at first I actually didn't tell him, because I wanted to see if it would make a difference. And the only way I could do that was to see if my friends and family noticed anything different about me. So I didn't really tell him that I was on this journey of self-discovery. And I was on it for maybe a month, maybe, if that. And I took 3 personality tests, if that, and read them a couple of times. At the end of that month, I remember him saying to me, I think we found our flow. That was the first thing he said to me. And I was like, think we found our flow. I wrote that one down. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, good. And then about 3 weeks later, he said, this relationship is just getting easier and easier the longer we've been together. And I was like, yeah, that's why. The longer we've been together. And I just started to write it down and take notes. And honestly, he was so smart that after a while, he was like, what's going on here? Like, we're getting along too well. What's happening? And I was like, I learned all about myself. That's what happened. And then I learned about him. And he was actually very eager to do it at that point because he saw what changes I've been through.
That's great. So you basically saw showed the results,
yeah,
and showed the change. And then that made him curious and want to really engage with it.
I mean, because that's what our executives like, right? They want to see the change. They want to see the result. They want to see the end unit. For me to tell him the 10-point plan that I was doing to get there wasn't going to help in any way. Like, he wouldn't have even listened, even if I told him. So he just noticed the difference.
Awesome. Well, Monique, thank you so much for taking time out of your Wednesday. Thank you, everyone on Facebook and obviously here on Zoom for taking time out of your week to hear Monique share. Please check out her course. It's very practical tips on communication, like she said, that you can jump right into right away and apply to your personal and work life and your relationship and partnership with your executive. Feel free to reach out, MoniqueHelstrom.com as well. Ping her on LinkedIn. She's a very gracious friend and she loves to connect with you all. So please reach out, support her. She's been doing great work and working really hard to help executives and their assistants have a better partnership, be more strategic, and enjoy working with each other more. So thank you again, Monique, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good one. See you next time.